Germans have invaded Belgium and they're about to capture Brussels. The German First Army seems unstoppable. The German Second Army, on the other hand, is a shadow of itself and has taken a beating in besieging Liege. The German Third Army is retreating from Namur and is about to fall upon the battered fortress of Liege. And the German Fourth Army has encountered sabotage on its way, and it may join the fight soon to try to take one of the fortresses. On the Allied side, the French Fourth and Fifth Armies have come to the rescue of the Belgians, and the surrounding cities of Namur seem secure for now. The British Expeditionary Force is about to enter the battle. And we begin the August 13 to 15 turn, and we pull the first chit from the cup. And it is Albrecht's 4th German Army. Without the ability to force march, the army won't go too far. But on the other hand, there's no saboteurs in sight. The 4th Army's infantry moves from Luxembourg through Arlon and into Neufchâteau. And the 4th Army's cavalry advances into Marche. Now we pull the next chit, and it's the German Big Bertha event. Next chit, the Allied sabotage event. Next, and it's the first turn and marker of the turn. We pull the next chit, and it's Landresac's 5th French Army. Landresac has his army concentrated in Namur and also Gembloux, and one of its contingents is within marching range of Brussels. 3 5th Army infantry corps will move through Wavre and into Brussels. The Belgian capital is safe for now. The 5th Army won't be able to reach Mechelen, which is a city that the Germans may use to cross the victory line into Ghent. And to prevent the German First Army from attacking Namur, if it takes a southerly direction, the French move their 3rd Corps into Gembloux. The French don't want to weaken the forces at Namur just in case the German Third Army turns back. The cavalry of the 5th Army is keeping an eye on the 4th German Army, which seems headed northwest through March into Namur, so it stays put at Sedan for now. We pull the next chit from the cup, and it's the 2nd turn-in marker. And the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd German armies have yet to be activated, and the atrocities marker is at 3. So we pull the next chit, and it is the British Expeditionary Force under John French. The BEF starts at Le Cateau, and it consists of 3 units, 2 infantry and 1 cavalry corps. The British receive a +1 die roll modifier if all 3 units are stacked together when they're attacking and at full strength. The German First Army has a pathway to Ghent through Mechelen. So the BEF cavalry moves through Valenciennes into Ath, from there into Ghent, and finally reaches Mechelen. And the Germans don't have the 5-to-1 odds to advance beyond Mechelen if they destroy the BEF cavalry there. Meanwhile, the British infantry marches behind through Valenciennes and into Ath. And it is presently 1 march away from joining the cavalry at Mechelen. 2 turn-end markers have been pulled, so we pull the next chit, and it's King Albert, the Belgians' turn to activate. The Belgians have no mobile units on the map, only Guard Civique counters, and almost all of them are face down. each of the fortresses of Namur and Liege do not have besieging Germans with them, so they cannot bombard the enemy. So that's the end of the Belgian activation. Next chit, and it's von Kluck's first German army. The first German army is concentrated in Louvain and Hasselt. Let's take a closer look. 4 full-strength units at Louvain, 2 full-strength and 1 half-strength unit at Hasselt. Let's take a look at the Germans' options. And the first army's forces at Hasselt would not be able to help in the German attack, all but the cavalry unit which may join in. The Germans have 4 units in Louvain. If they attack the French, there's not much certainty that they will occupy Brussels. However, if they attack the British, they may easily succeed, but to advance beyond Mechelen would require a 5-to-1 advantage. Fortunately for the Germans, the German cavalry at Hasselt can make it to the attack in Mechelen. So, the Germans move their forces from Louvain into Mechelen, and the German cavalry at Hasselt moves through Diest, through Louvain, and finally reaches Mechelen, and the Germans have 5-to-1 odds. And to protect the First Army's left flank, the remaining German units at Hasselt move into Louvain. Now we go on to the Battle of Mechelen. The Germans only need 1 hit to wipe out the British cavalry. They roll first. 3 hits and the British cavalry will be eliminated, but we roll for the British, and if the British score a hit on a 5 or more, the Germans won't be able to advance after this combat beyond Mechelen. And the roll is a 2, no hits, so the British are eliminated, and no losses on the German side. The Germans have the option of advancing into Ghent, and if they do so, however, they have to advance with all units together. And it is August 13 to 15. For the Germans to win, they have to hold or occupy a city beyond the victory line on this turn. Doing it before will not gain them a victory. On the other hand, if the Germans do not advance into Ghent now, the British at Ath will certainly do so. So the Germans advance into Ghent, and there's a Guard Civic counter there face down. Now we flip it face up, and it is a Guard Civic unit. So we have a battle at Ghent, and again the Germans only need 1 hit to destroy the enemy defenders. So we roll for the Germans, inflict 2 hits, which will assure the destruction of the Guard Civic. But first the Belgians fire back, and they cause no hits on the Germans. And with the elimination of the Belgian defenders, the city of Ghent is firmly in German hands. The French Fifth Army and the British Expeditionary Force are a march away, but they cannot attack simultaneously. And this ends the activation of the German First Army. Now we pull the next chit, and it's the 3rd turn end chit, and the German 2nd and 3rd armies have not been activated. The atrocities marker is in the number 3 box. The German 2nd army is in a very weak state, and it may not even take Liege. The 3rd army, on the other hand, has 2 full-strength infantry corps and has the best chance of all German armies near Liege to take that fortress. And if the Germans roll to activate both armies, they run the risk of 2 more atrocities, which would place the marker in the number 5 box, and that would be the end of the game for the Germans. So the Germans will not attempt to activate von Bülow's 2nd army, and will try to activate the 3rd German army. And on a 4 to 6, the atrocities marker will advance. We roll 1d6, and the roll is a 2. No atrocities this time. The Germans also have the Big Bertha event available. Note that the sabotage Allied event would not have prevented the Third Army from reaching Liege. So the Third German Army is activated, and it falls upon Liege. So, on to the battle. The Germans fire with 5 units, and they use the Big Bertha event, which ensures 1 hit against the fortress. So we roll for the German attackers. The German units scored 2 hits, and we add the hit by Big Bertha for a total of 3 hits on the fortress. So the fortress will be destroyed, but first it fires back. And the fortress scores no hits. So the Belgian fortress of Liege is destroyed. The Germans suffered no losses and had a 5-1 advantage in that attack. And that means that the Third Army may advance, and it may do so into Warem, where there are possible Garde Civique units, or back into Huy for an attack next turn on Namur. And it will advance into Huy, and that's the end of the Third German Army's activation. The time marker advances to the August 16 to 18 turn. The fortress of Liege has fallen, and the German Third Army is on its way back to Namur. The fresh Fourth Army is at Neufchâteau and is 1 march away from the Belgian fortress. The German Second Army is exhausted and depleted at Verviers. But the First Army has captured Ghent. There are nearby French and British units, but not in sufficient strength to push them out anytime soon. The 5th French Army, which is near Ghent, has also considerable forces around Namur. And it will take some time for the French to concentrate the forces of their 5th Army, which is their strongest, and appears the only one that has a chance to defeat the First Army at Ghent. For now, it seems that the Allies have to prevent that the other elements of the First Army join with their brothers at Ghent. So, will the Germans hold at Ghent? Will the Allies hold at Namur? Stick around for the next episode of Brave Little Belgium. This is Stuka Joe, signing off for now. Thanks for watching.